Welcome to Living a Full Life podcast. Join us as we explore health topics that encourage raising healthy children, living a healthy life, and living the best life possible. Now, here's your host.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Living a Full Life podcast. Got a really fun guest this week, Chris Ryan from Chris Ryan Fitness. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about being fit and what that truly means.
Thank you so much, Enrico. I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for doing it. Tell us a little bit about you so people have some credibility and how you got into this, where it all started, why you're doing it today. Tell us a little bit about you.
Great. So I've been in the fitness industry for a better part of 2 decades professionally. Been an athlete my whole life. Played a whole variety of sports since I was a kid. Eventually got a track scholarship to the University of Florida where I ran the 800 meters and then parlayed that into understanding aerobic, anaerobic thresholds and all the crazy fun strength and conditioning workouts that you do as an elite athlete. And then was able to parlay that into fitness for everyday folks, if you will, which I guess we're in that category now. And I just had my 46th birthday yesterday. So, I'm definitely in that mid stage of my life, a dad of 3, a husband. I have an amazing fitness app out there called Chris Ryan Fitness that's available in the iOS store for Apple users, as well as in the Google Play Store for Android users. It has a variety of workouts, hundreds of workouts that are available on demand. You can stream anywhere, right to your smart TV, as well as live workouts each week that are fun. They hold you accountable. They get people involved in the community aspect of the app, which I always feel like sometimes rising tides raise all ships within the fitness world. When you know that one of your cyber friends from across the country or across the world is going to be in this live class, the odds of you joining that one probably going to be a little higher than to Netflix and chill on that side. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I've been on a TV series called NBC Strong a while back, about 10 years ago now. That was a primetime NBC show that was from the American Ninja Warrior executive producers and The Biggest Loser executive producers. And Mr. Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, was picked as one of America's top 10 trainers back then. Been on the cover of Men's Fitness 4 times, which I'm proud of, and written for countless dozens and dozens of different publications from Men's Health, Women's Health, Men's Fitness, Shape Magazine, the LA Times, Reader's Digest. So a whole host of different media outlets out there as well that I've worked with brands across the spectrum like Nike and Under Armour and Lululemon, and also all the different fitness magazines. So pretty diverse array of fitness endeavors in my bucket, but really I love to help people achieve their best selves. And I hate excuses. So that's why I came up with the app to try to make it as easy as possible for people to work out. For a beginner up through advanced workouts that you can do at home with minimal equipment like dumbbells and bands and body weight exercises. You can have cool rigs and equipment and everything else like I have behind me. Those are my own personal toys that I love, and I swear by them for a whole host of different activities. But for the vast majority of people, you can get a heck of a workout in with just some dumbbells and some bands and body weight movements, and you're going to get super fit.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah. Great background. If you have it, please go check out Chris Ryan Fitness. It's, I snooped around on it. I did, as I vet all my guests, but it's beautifully laid out. First of all, it's easy to use. It's got tons of information. And I think he streamed it from beginner, novice to intermediate. I mean, everything's there. So you've hit the pain points with your app. I think a lot of people join these things. They download apps all the time. They don't follow through. I think the average is like a 9% follow through rate. Mm-hmm. And yours is better for sure. Right off the bat, it's clean. You've solved the major problems of like sticking with it or sifting through the videos. I hate when I have to go search for it because I forget what face pulls are. Is it parallel? Is it from the ground up? Is it down? And yours are all right there. So that's great. So definitely go check it out. And he lays out a great intro on his website there for you. So that's your little plug from me. But let's dive into fitness. I mean, I think from your perspective, and I've had some IFFBB Pro, bodybuilders and on here before, and Miss Olympia is on here. And so different perspectives on this. I think you're more one of us grounded. Maybe we don't all make it to the front cover of Men's Health 4 times, but at least you're one of us there. And you see it from our perspective, because when you look at the elite athlete's view on this, it's almost like a huge gap between the average person and an elite athlete. And they're like, well, I don't think my diet is as tuned in as you. And I really don't think I can do what you do. You just did 6 backflips in the air. I don't think I can do that.
Exactly.
So for you, I mean, you meet us where we're at. What's, from your perspective, what defines success and what defines failure when it comes to fitness as a trainer, when you look at a client?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I think it's a great question, because what it truly is being consistent as possible over the course of time. When you're a human being, hopefully we get one day older tomorrow, because the other option isn't that good, right? So every day that we age, we either going to make a choice to, get stronger, lead a healthier life, or compound in a negative sense in eating unhealthy, not moving our bodies, not stretching ourselves out, moving, smelling the flowers, walking, running, skipping, jumping, whatever it might be, to be, feeling like if you're a parent and you're lucky enough to be a parent, you can see your kids just having fun, being alive, especially in that elementary school age. We have 3 kids, 11, 9, and almost 3 in a couple weeks. And so there's just like the biggest joy in the world is just to watch them be outside and just be kids. And you realize as a parent, you get even me in the fitness industry, you're kind of, you're running a business, you got your blinders on a lot of times, you got, you got revenue goals, you have costs, you're trying to make sure your household is accounted for in a whole host of different ways. So you got a lot of stresses as a parent and as an adult that you don't have as a kid. And sometimes it's just nice to take a step back and say, hey, you deserve to have fun in life for, a little bit, right? As everyone does. Your workouts should be something that brings positivity to your life. It should not feel like that you are getting punished for something. And I think like a lot of times that adults feel like, I got to work out, I got to eat healthy. I think it's actually like, wow, you get to move your body. You get to exercise. Like you get to sweat and release endorphins. You get to like squash that cortisol that's being built up in your body. Because that's going to happen no matter what. Like stresses happen in your overall life no matter what. And it's the ability to stay consistent and kind of do like 80%, call it 80% of the right things. You're going to be okay. Like you're going to be better than okay. You're going to be out kicking that coverage for sure into your own health and longevity, and live a great fulfilled life. If you just try to move your body a little bit, eat healthy, don't hold yourself to a perfect standard, right? Because no one ever holds himself to a perfect standard. Even you had said earlier about elite athletes and IFBB pros, hats off to all those people out there that are holding themselves to those elite standards. But even those people have off seasons, right? Yes, even elite athletes have an off season where they take a vacation. They'll go eat a bunch of food that they probably won't eat. They probably won't train that hard or maybe at all. Even the best bodybuilding pros are gonna walk around in baggy clothes because they're not gonna look cut in a certain way. And when you see them on stage or in those magazines, guess what? They've honed their body in to be at that perfect level for that one day. And that's like their target. That's their race. That's their Super Bowl. And hats off to everyone that does that. But as a normal, everyday human being, no one's going to do that. Like we're human at the end of the day, right? So try to be as consistent as possible, as long as possible. And you're going to kick father time, to the curb for as long as you can.
Yeah. No, I love it. You said something there that was great about, I define it as well. The same thing. People mistaken health, illness, and wellness. They're 3 very different things. Health is something you are given from birth. It's a God-given thing that comes with your body. Health is something you're supposed to maintain. It's not achievable. You don't achieve health. Health is in you. Every moment that you're breathing and sleeping, your body's healing. It's always healing. So that's what health is, the ability to heal. The other perspective is illness and wellness. Now that's the pendulum. We do the 80% of the things to swing towards wellness. And that's the goal. That's the goal there. So I love your definition of what success is. And it wasn't a simple answer. It was more of a consistency was your answer to that. And I love that. That's the truth with it. Because if we're not doing the things that swing us to wellness, we're ending up sliding towards illness. And that's the definition of it. And hopefully we can hit some stuff in this podcast that solve that pendulum swing for a lot of people. Because we think we're doing the right things. I had a lady, this is just last week in my office. She was like, my doctor put me on Wegovy and told me to eat some more protein. I didn't realize I was getting 16 grams of protein per day. And I was like, 60? She's like, 16 grams of protein. She's in her 40s. And I'm like, how long?
Yeah.
Like, for 20 years, I've been eating about 10 to 20 grams of protein per day. I'm like, I've had so many questions. I was like, what do you eat? Even if you eat crickets, you can get more than that. I don't understand what's going on, but this is the world we live in. People just don't understand some of the basics. And of course, guess which way she's been swinging for the last 10 years. I mean, that's just the way these things are. So when I sometimes think I'm asking simple questions, they're actually not simple for some people. They're life-changing answers for them. So let's get into that when it comes to fitness. Exercise in general. I mean, people want to do it. They all say, I know I should be doing it. But like you said, there's things that hold them back. What do you find the first steps are, aside from, mentally getting ready to do this and saying, yes, I need to do this for myself? Mm-hmm. What are the first steps people can take? Maybe joining Chris Ryan Fitness is the first step, but what are some other steps that people can take to just get the ball rolling?
I think, the first steps people can take are aim small, miss small, where you just want to start out with something achievable for yourself that in that moment in time or that day. Sometimes, take account for a week out, right? And say, okay, over the next week, my goal is to walk 10 minutes a day, right? If you're just totally beginning your workout, maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's something as simple as just walking outside and like smelling the flowers in springtime right now during this podcast. And, up here in the Northeast where I live, it's the cherry blossoms and the magnolias are starting to come out. It's beautiful. Like, get out and celebrate life a little bit and just walk. You don't need an app for that. You don't need any heavy duty equipment. You just need 5 to 10 minutes of your time. But the goal is to try to make sure that you're doing something that you can remain consistent at. So if your goal is to say, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes every day for this week, that's great. That's an aim small, miss small moment. It's pretty achievable for most people. You just got to kind of think about it a little bit more to make sure that you do it. And then, the following week you say, hey, maybe I would love to figure out a way to like lift something. Like, it doesn't have to be heavy. Maybe I don't even have, dumbbells, but maybe I have a couple heavy duty cans or something, moderately heavy in like the cleaning supplies closet in my house of some Mr. Clean or whatever it might be that weigh a couple pounds, or, some heavier bag of dog food or something that you can do some sort of resistance training on. And you'd be surprised at like what you can actually like find around your house that weighs 2 to 5 pounds that you could, do some curls with, push some weight overhead. You don't even need equipment. Sometimes you could just say, I'm going to, in addition to the 10-minute walk, I'm going to do 10 squats or 5 squats or 1 squat, right? Because for the lack of a better term, not to be too crass, but if you want to, have a longevity and an independence to your life as the decades get along for all of us, you're going to want to go to the bathroom by yourself, hopefully for as long as possible, right? Without assistance. I think all hands in the room would be raised on that one of saying, as I've seen my parents get older, my dad passed away last year. We have my in-laws getting older, and it's just, you see your friends' parents that you grew up with that you're like, oh, Mr. Smith has always been 45 years old in my eyes, but now he's like 85, because like we've grown up, we're not 10 years old anymore, but you're like, oh, your neighbors and people that you knew as a kid, they're always like kind of frozen in time for you. And you're like, what happened to him? Oh, but what happened to me? I'm 40 years older now or whatever, you know? And so like to maintain that independence, you're going to have to learn how to like squat, right? Like to get up and down from a dining room chair, you're going to have to, use your leg muscles, engage your glutes. For you to have a stronger spine, the stronger your backside can be through your legs and glutes, the stronger your spine will be to have a foundational support to go into in the first place, right? So there's a whole host of things, but like, don't worry about an hour workout out of the gate. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and I'm going to do this. I'm like, no, just aim small, miss small. Like do something very minimal that's highly achievable and then replicate that over the course of a week. And then add a little extra to it the following week. And then over the course of a month, give or take, most habits are going to be established, give or take in about 25 days. So by the time you get done with that, you're like, hey, I've been walking and now all of a sudden I feel good. Maybe if I just did a little bit more, I'd feel even a little bit better, right? And I now instead of doing 10 squats, I'm doing 3 sets of 10 squats and my legs feel super strong and all that. And then like, who knows? Now you're opening up that can of worms of like, well, now it's like a whole sense of positivity. And I feel a good foundation. I've been consistent. And then you can build off of that. But for the most part, like people that are starting out, they tend to like think that they have to be perfect and or do something Olympic or professional to like make themselves great, because they see things on Instagram or in the social media world or in the cover of a magazine. Like a lot of that is like people that have been training for decades to get to that level. So if you've trained for 10 minutes, you know what? That's an awesome 10 minutes of your life that, you know, is going to help you out to be as more consistent as possible.
Yes. Yeah. I see that all the time. I was signing up for a marathon. I'm like, oh, great. I didn't know you were a runner. I'm not. I'm just starting. I'm like, well, wow, this is a huge, big mountain. I haven't run a marathon. I mean, so yeah, you're right. Baby steps is how it all starts. And I think what you're describing is the positive feedback loop. You and I are cheerleaders for wellness. And we sit here, we're like, listen, we sound like the drug dealer on the corner. We're like, listen, this is great. This is great. Trust us. Come with us. When you get into this positive feedback loop, and people just look at you like, I don't know. But what they don't realize, the average American's stuck in the negative feedback loop. We're stuck in the negative daily activity of just waking up stiff, not feeling well, not getting well rested, and then going to our seated jobs and not moving. You know, that study that came out back in 2009 about, you know, sitting is the new smoking. It's equivalent or worse for your cardiovascular health than smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And I was like, what the? So we're stuck in these negative feedback loops. And I hope if you're listening right now, understanding, you might be nodding your head. You're like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a negative feedback loop. It's like everything just kind of feeds the negativity in there because I'm just not doing things. And that's what Chris is trying to say, is just starting with 10-minute walks and doing that for 20 days turns into this positive thing that you've created. And one positive thing creates momentum. Once we get 2 or 3, now you've created a positive feedback loop that you start to sift yourself into. And that's my pep talk for my patients when they're in pain or chronic issues, is that if we can get 1 or 2 wins, we can change the tides. We can turn this tornado into a positive feedback loop. And that's where success comes from, is with frequency and repetition. And that happens across all industries in wellness. It's because that's what our life is. It's a long journey. Hopefully we live a long, healthy life. You know, like you said, people asked, Enrico, what's your definition of health? And I'm like, yeah, to be on a cruise ship and not a nursing home when I'm 85, or on the golf course and not a nursing home, like you said. So these are all, I think we're all on the same page when it comes to that. So when it comes to fitness, starting consistency is number one. Starting something consistent, like walking. Then when we get into this, and we're all 40 and over, and everyone that's listening to you right now has a dumbbell sitting in their house. So when you said, hey, go get the dog food, trust me, they don't need it. They have the dumbbells and they have an exercise that's collecting dust. And I know they're all nodding right now. But so once they get into this, where should their focus be? Let's say it's like us, young families moving forward. What should our goals be? Because once we start to get the momentum going, we're going to just naturally want to set a goal for something. What's a good, healthy goal to set?
I think a good healthy goal is to do, several days of resistance training a week at minimum, ideally 3 days a week for just a foundational basis support. Once you get those healthy habits moving for yourself. And with the resistance training, it's not something that, for the listeners out there, if you're just starting out, it could be 3 rounds of 10 squats and with a 5 or 10 or 15 pound dumbbell, for instance. But in good form, you could even squat down to like a bench like I have behind me, or a chair in your dining room, or an ottoman that's not super deep, or like cushy, something along those lines, like things that items that you have around your house of just kind of going down to parallel, maybe a little bit past parallel with your hips below your knees tracking out up over the toes, getting your glutes strong once again for your overall spine health. And when you hold the dumbbell in a goblet style formation out in front, you're actually engaging the abs. A lot of times people think like, oh, I need to do a separate core workout. I think separate core workouts are great, but at the same time, your back's going to get stronger by having that spine alignment of keeping your core engaged to do the squat form in the right, the right position in the first place. So anytime, resistance training, think of foundation, legs, right? And glutes, health and longevity for the longest time, because as the decades accumulate for all of us, we will have less slip and falls, which is one of the things that no one wants to have happen to them or a loved one as they get older, right? Because the stats are out there. If you get in your 70s or 80s and you have a slip and fall, odds are it could be very detrimental to your overall health and well-being for a whole host of factors of going to the hospital with an infection, or you might have hit your head and brain bleeds, and all across the board. You might not just be able to get back up and you're stuck down on the floor for hours at a time, or, those sorts of things. And once again, leading that independence, like you said, 85 years old, I want to be on a cruise ship, right? Not in a nursing home. The cognitive benefits of like getting the blood flowing up to your brain and just kind of like the proprioception, the balance control, the coordination factors that go in with strength training, paramount to success. I also think like curling things up, like arm curls, putting things over your head. You want to travel, you want to go to the cruise ship, right? Not all of us live in Florida where they take off from. So if you want to go to Florida, get on the cruise ship and go around the Caribbean, that sort of a thing, you're going to have a roller board to put up or a bag to put up in your overhead bin on an airplane. Just that movement in itself is a very functional movement. It's the clean and jerk, right? As Enrico and I know, it's like you're cleaning up to your hips, rolling up to your chest, and then putting it up overhead. That's technically an Olympic lift with a barbell. But you're doing it with a 10, 20, 30 pound suitcase. But at the same time, it's a 30-pound suit, 20, 30-pound suitcase. You're going to have to figure out how to put that overhead. That's not lightweight. A lot of times you're not warmed up when you're doing it. So the more times that you can do it in a setting, in a gym setting or a training style setting, it's going to become repetitive. So when you actually have to do it, when you're not warmed up and you're traveling, you're a little stressed out of like, what zone am I getting on in the airplane and that sort of thing. It carries over to your overall everyday life. And that's where training comes into play for people, and exercise is like the carry over to their everyday life. That's just positive, that they see like their everyday life becomes a little easier to deal with, right? Like a little more fun to deal with. Like you're like, hey, I can farmer carry these grocery bags home, or to the parking lot. I don't need the cart to take them out there. My shoulders are strong. My grip strength's stronger now. But I do think like strength training is awesome. I think any sort of resistance training and any sort of like hills as well. A lot of times, people have heard these, seen these documentaries about blue zones around the world. And where there's a lot of centenarians where they live into their hundreds. And a lot of what they found, it's not necessarily these people are Olympic level athletes and they're eating greens and drinking water and that's it. And like, doing a cold plunge every day or that sort of a thing. It's like, they generally they go for walks after they eat meals, especially after dinner. They help metabolize their sugar levels down. And the walks are usually in an undulating style pattern. And usually with loved ones, and stopping, their spouses, their kids, their grandkids, or they're stopping and seeing friends along the way. They're not clipping out 5 mile per hour walks up an incline like this up Mount Everest. They're just kind of like strolling. Like you go over to Europe, my wife's Greek American. You go over to Europe and Greece in the summertime, and you see the people just walking around. It's like amazing, and they're happy, and like they're not overly medicated. A lot of times they're just walking and like. And a lot of times you're like, oh, they don't even look that fit, but they are, because they're able to walk. Like the average person in America, if you ask them to walk like 2 or 3 miles, they're going to have trouble with that, unfortunately, right? Because we drive everywhere. We're a driving country. And, and the ability to walk up an incline offers that resistance. So even on your treadmill, if you will, you can just put up the resistance to a 3, 4, 5 degree incline, do some walks there. You could even watch your favorite news channel, your TV show on most treadmills have something on the screen, or just zone out, listen to, Enrico's podcast, or, a book on audiobook or whatever you might be, or just take a phone call or that sort of a thing. Like there's ways to do things without necessarily thinking that you gotta take away to get your exercise going in your first place.
Love it. Yeah. It's again, consistency. This podcast should be called consistency. That's it. Breaking those habits and creating new ones that are positive, because I think it takes a little bit of reflection too. If you're listening, reflect on your day-to-day as it is right now. And you'll realize, yeah, I do sit a lot. I drive a lot. I sit a lot. And we need to change that. This is the fundamental reason why we have people in 40s, 50s, and 60s starting to get pains, aches, hip issues, hip replacements, knee replacements, is because we're degenerating. So movement is the key to life. It's the motion's the lotion, right? Or whatever they say. So getting into it, I don't know what else Chris and I can say to push. I've tried, Chris. I've been doing this for 20 years, man. I don't know what other pom-poms to buy, what other dances to do for people, or whatever podcast to create, but we can't motivate you. And that's just the way it is. And then the writing's on the wall when it comes to the research and the statistics. Sitting and not moving is pretty much the dumbest thing we can do as far as it comes to health and illness. So yeah, get moving. Chris has created such a great program and accountability. That's one thing I wanted to end the podcast with. I was going to ask you a question, but let's answer it together. I found through our weight loss program and chiropractic that the people who are successful, that's how we started the podcast, what's success and what's failure. The one thing that helped all the successful people and clients is accountability. And you've created
100%.
that with your
Yes.
program. And that's the same thing with our weight loss program. We pretty much teach people a Whole30 type program, intermittent fasting with Whole30, and they'll lose 30, 40, 50 pounds within, 3, 4, 5 months, fast weight loss, but through whole foods. And they're like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm like, listen, you could have just bought the book for $25. You could have. You didn't have to pay us for this weight loss. But they're like, no, I wouldn't have got the success because you text me every single day. And that was the accountability. And that's our program is we text you. And I joke when people come to the workshops, I'm like, listen, you're paying me $1,500 for my cell phone number. This sounds really bad. But then you get me on a texting basis every single day. And they're like, oh, and that's where they get the success. And same thing with you. You get Chris Ryan Fitness every single day to hold you accountable. And I'm sure if they send any questions, he's got it all figured out on the back end. Have to answer them for you.
Oh, for sure. We have a great team, and myself, we jump on in. Chris@chrisryanfitness.com is my personal email. Email me away. Any questions, even if you're not a member of the app or you're curious about the app or questions, that sort of a thing. I'm happy to answer them as much as possible. And also we have a great community platform in there because I always, like teachers say, if you have a question, there's probably dozens of others that have questions as well for that same question or similar question. So ask away in the community chat. And then that way everyone can see it. And then people, what's really fun is our communities, they love those questions because then they chime in and say, oh, this is what worked for me. And it becomes once again, that sense of like that blue zone style community of like, oh, rising tides raise all ships. And if I see these people are in it too, and I'm not in this by myself. There's Chris, and then there's a whole community out there that's going to support me. Just like with your weight loss journey, it's like you said, they're going to pay you a lot of money for your phone number to text with and to stay accountable with. But sometimes you need that, and that's okay in life. Like if you can do that, like don't worry. Like not everyone can just grab a $25 book and read it once and just like click it on and go from there. I mean, I've had professional coaches that I've hired on a business level and an engineering level for my app. And on that side that help me out with marketing and the interface and the IT side. So, it's okay to say, I need help in life. And then that's what you have professionals out there to do it with.
Yeah. And accountability holds you accountable because you don't want to let the other person down either. So even starting with your walk, picking a neighbor and saying, hey, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, will you go on a walk with me at 9:30 in the morning? And you guys create that bond, and then you're not going to let each other down because you want to show up at 9:30 for each other. That's the great thing. Or going to the gym and finding a gym buddy, or signing up for Chris Ryan Fitness, or whatever works for you in your life. So get started on your own. And then when you realize, oh, I remember listening to that podcast with Chris and Rico, accountability, I think it's time for some accountability. Take the next step to hold yourself accountable to sticking to the new positive feedback loop. That's great. I hope we help some people here, Chris. This is great. Reach out to Chris for all the fitness stuff. And I'm sure he's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all that. Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Enrico. You do fantastic work in your community as well. So hats off to you. Hats off to everything you do on the podcast, all your listeners. You have a great leader here to listen from, and he brings on amazing guests and great content. So keep it up.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Living a Full Life podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.